Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be tackling more Black Panther Wakanda Forever news, and we're going to be looking at, we're going to be asking ourselves the question, is this movie going to make any money? And was it a success or a failure this weekend? So let's look at the numbers for the opening weekend for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The domestic box office numbers were $181 billion, and the international box office was $150 million for a total of $330 million. Now, if you recall, the original estimates for this movie, there was an article that was stating that those initial estimates had been revised down slightly, but we actually see that Black Panther Wakanda Forever did come in at the low side of the original estimates, being $180 million. Let's see how this compares to some of the other recent Marvel movies. So first up, Thor: Love and Thunder, which had a domestic box office of $343 million and an international box office of $400 million for a total of around $750 million, just shy of $750 million. Now, if we look at the weekend box office performance, the opening weekend for Love and Thunder came in at $144 million. So Wakanda Forever performed better than Love and Thunder. Now let's look at Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Multiverse of Madness turning in a domestic box office of $411 million and an international box office of $540 million for a total of right around $950 million. Again, just $50 million shy of $1 billion. So definitely not too shabby at all, but nowhere near the excess of over $1 billion movies that we used to see from Marvel, especially when they had lower budgets as well. So we used to have lower budgets and higher box offices. Now we're seeing higher budgets and lower box office, which is not necessarily a recipe for success. And don't get me wrong, $950 million is still a lot of money, but we're going to talk about whether that actually translates into success and profit in a minute. So looking at the initial box office performance for Multiverse of Madness, we see it turned in a box office performance of $187 million. So Wakanda Forever almost matching Multiverse of Madness at $181 million. So coming in again on the low side of their projections, but closer to Multiverse of Madness. We can expect to see Wakanda Forever probably match more closely in its total worldwide box office numbers. It should do closer to Multiverse of Madness, I think. Let's see how it turns out. Now, again, do I think that Wakanda Forever is going to turn in $1 billion performance? No. I think it's going to be short. After we see a few weeks, then I think we'll have a better feel for the overall performance of this movie. Now, if we look at the ratings for Black Panther Wakanda Forever on Rotten Tomatoes, we actually see it's not doing bad at all. It has an 84% amongst critics and a 95% amongst the audiences. So let's look at this. Let's look at all audience is coming in right at 85%, and all critics actually is coming in right at 84%. So that's actually pretty good. I mean, they match up pretty well. The numbers seem to match, but what do the other services have to tell us about this movie? And if we look at IMDb now, we see that on IMDb it has a weighted average of about a 7.4 and an arithmetic mean of 7.3. The weighted average equals the mathematical average, which means this seems like a pretty solid number. And I think the numbers that we're seeing with 56,000 IMDb users having given this a vote, it seems like Black Panther Wakanda Forever is about a solid 7 to 8. It's in that range. I mean, we can see a lot of people giving the votes in that range, thinking it's somewhere between a 7 and an 8. And that sounds about right. Well, let's take a look at Metacritic. Now, this is kind of normal for Rotten Tomatoes to be higher than IMDb and IMDb to be higher than Metacritic. So we can see both of these numbers a little bit lower on Metacritic, but it's 67, which is still a good number for Metacritic from the critic reviews, and a 5.8, so not great, but we always tend to see lower ratings on Metacritic, especially in the user scores. So this is not abnormal whatsoever. So with all this said, it looks to me like Black Panther Wakanda Forever is going to put in a number, a total number at the end of the day, maybe I should say at the end of the year, of somewhere between this $745 million and $950 million. But is that a good performance? Well, let us look at an interesting article from Bounding Into Comics, and this one is about Disney and their poor Q4 financial report. So more on this topic coming up in a separate video, but there's an interesting quote in here that I wanted to cover. This year, production spending for the Marvel Cinematic Universe hit an all-time high, with both Thor: Love and Thunder as well as Black Panther Wakanda Forever hitting $250 million in cost before marketing, the highest such budgets for a non-Avengers film in the entire franchise. The massive costs of these films have driven Marvel Studios' average break-even mark for those films to be an estimated $700 to $800 million. That is astounding, actually. So with the original budget of these films coming in at $250 million, that means the additional marketing and other overhead is pushing the total cost for these films to be roughly 3 times their production budget. But while Disney had a much better year at the box office compared to 2021, none of their 3 Marvel Cinematic Universe releases for 2022 managed to hit $1 billion worldwide. So it seems like, wow, like this movie could match Multiverse of Madness and still not make very much money. And in the end, if it only managed to match Love and Thunder, then it could actually be losing money. Now that's interesting because that means that Thor: Love and Thunder sitting at $750 million is probably just a break-even film. No profit on this. And then that means that with everything said and done, Multiverse of Madness only probably made a couple $100 million. I mean, it's not great. I mean, granted, it's still $200 million, but you had to risk 3.5 times that amount just to make that $200 million. That is an awful lot of risk and for not a lot of profit. So in the end, I don't know how this is going to turn out for Disney. I mean, it looks like Disney can't continue to operate in this manner. They really do need to get back to the days where they have a slightly slimmer budget on these productions and are making much more profit. Now, how they get there, well, that is a topic for debate. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think of Black Panther Wakanda Forever? I mean, where do you think it's going to come in at? I'm still saying it's going to come in at less than $1 billion. I still maintain that we have basically seen the end of the $1 billion plus Marvel movie and Disney movie. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. In the meantime, if you want to continue to support the channel, then please click the like, share, and subscribe buttons. We're currently pushing for, hold on just a second, I need to check. So we've been pushing hard for 800 subscribers and we've done it. Thank you to all of you who have helped us hit this number. Now let's keep pushing and hit 900. That's all I have for now, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.